Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Around the Ropes YouTube exclusive. Now, guys, this coming Saturday, Titan Championship Wrestling with Goddesses of War present Blaze of Glory, and one of the matches on that card features, in my opinion, one of the biggest, most impactful tag teams in Titan Wrestling, and that's the Deadly Sins. I know there's some people out there who aren't gonna like that I said that, but one thing with us is we always speak the truth. And I think one of the key parts of the Deadly Sins on with us right now, the one, the only, Blockz. What's going on, man?
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
I appreciate. I'm glad we were able to make this finally happen.
Absolutely.
Before we get into what's going on this Saturday with Titan, I want to kind of go back a little bit. What got you into pro wrestling? Was there a match or was there a moment that you turned around and you go, I want to get into this crazy sport?
Yes. I bring it up to everybody, and everybody, I'll see the look on your face because it's kind of the same when I always say this. But SummerSlam '94, I believe it was Undertaker versus Undertaker. See, '92 or '94, I forget how long. It's been so long. But I remember sitting there with my grandfather, and at that time I was young, so my attention span wasn't fully there. But I noticed, the Undertaker's entrance came out, and I was like thinking to myself at that age, that's pretty cool. This guy, he turns off the lights, he controls the lights with his hands. He got magical powers, and then all of a sudden, here comes the Undertaker again. This time, the first one was led by Ted DiBiase, the second one led by Paul Bearer. So it was just, how are these guys facing each other? The same guy. It was mind blowing at 4 years old to see this, because it's like, this is not making sense. And seeing the video package even right before the match that led up to that match was just had me going crazy of how they, one, brought somebody back from the dead, and then two, he's all of a sudden now facing himself. So it was just the entertainment of it, and the storyline was so well written to me at that young age that it just hooked me in. And I knew from that point, it was like, yeah, this is definitely what I'm going to be doing with the rest of my life.
I got to admit, that's the first I've ever heard that one. Most of the time when I ask people that question, a lot of times it's, Warrior and Hogan, or like we just had somebody on recently for YouTube exclusive who said Goldberg and Brock from WrestleMania 20. So the one, I love asking that question because you get so many different answers. So at that moment you decided, okay, I'm seeing the same guy on the screen twice. I want to get into this crazy sport. Now, where did you get your training then?
I got my training, and I still get trained out of East Coast Professional Wrestling under Gino Caruso. I walked in there and instantly felt at home when I walked into the school. It was when I decided to follow this journey, it was between East Coast Professional Wrestling and House of Glory, where to train at. And I checked out House of Glory. The atmosphere, I liked it. It was good. They had some good guys over there. This is when, before they moved their location, they were in Ridgewood, Queens. And I was introduced to Amazing Red by which he probably doesn't remember it now, but I was introduced to Amazing Red by my cousin, who was actually married to his cousin. So I was introduced that way. So it was kind of like a small world. Oh, this is kind of crazy type of thing. So I went there, I checked it out. It was actually a couple of days after Sasha Banks just had left there from training for, I believe, NXT Brooklyn at the time. And so I was that was heavy number one to go train at, especially, I'm just hearing Sasha Banks just left from there for training, and Amazing Red is the head trainer. So then I said, I still have this one other school to check out. Let me check it out, and I'll make my decision then. And I walked into East Coast Professional Wrestling Training Center, and the moment I walked in, I felt at home. The guys instantly, gravitated towards me, asked me my name. It just felt like a family, and it was literally off of 5 minutes meeting these guys. And I spoke with Gino Caruso. He asked me what I'm there for. I let him know I want to become a professional wrestler. And he was like, "Let's go, let's get to it." And we got in the ring, and it's been history ever since.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now from there, though, obviously, you talked about meeting Gino, and was that where they gave you the name of Blockz, or was that something you came up with? How did that come to fruition?
So Blockz, I've been getting called Blockz since about the age of 13. So it was kind of real easy to come up with that name. When I got there, after a couple of days of training, Gino asked me himself. He's like, "So what are you called? What do are you going with your name? How's it?" And I said, "No, I'm Blockz." And he was like, "Blockz? What the hell is a Blockz?" And I was like, "That's me." Like, I was like, "And it's with the Z, not a S." And he looked at me, with a smile and just, he's like, "What does that mean?" And I was like, "To be honest, this is where I was given a name. So the name Blockz originates from, I was always an athlete when it came to sports. So I always was on the football team, baseball team, basketball team, any sports that my school had, I was on the team. So after schooling, I started hanging out with my friend, my brother and his friends, which were older guys, and it progressed me in my skill level of playing those sports. So I played with them a few times, and I had really good times out there playing with them. And one of my brother's friends one day just turned around and was like, "Dude, every time we try to lay up the ball, you just block it. I'm just gonna call you Blockz from now on." And I looked at him and I said, "That's it. That's my new nickname from that point forward. That's what they called me since 13." So it was like a given. I knew, one, it would work for my gimmick because it's who I am, and that's, I can bring that out to life. And two, it works with the kids. It's easy to chant. Kids love Blockz at the end of the day, whether it's myself or literally Blockz. So, it's overall just fell into place to where it was like, yeah, this is what I'm going with, and I'm glad I did, because I had a couple people try to talk me out of it. Um, but I'm glad I kept with it, because at the end of the day, it's now the name Blockz, as you said. One, it's unique, and two, I feel like I'm starting to make a name for myself with Blockz, and it's starting to get out there to where people understand. Like, he may have a weird ring name, but this kid can go. So we actually like Blockz.
I'll say this right now. I've seen you wrestle now a couple of times in Titan, and one of them that I want to get into, I was actually in the ring with you on, not you one on one, but you'll get my point in a second. Before we get into that, though, you mentioned before, playing sports growing up. What was your favorite sport growing up?
I would say basketball. I was a heavy basketball player. I loved football growing up. But when it came to actually playing and being as focused and like I am with professional wrestling, how I take it, like end all be all was basketball, because I always felt like I was always the little guy on the court that wanted to be up there with the big guys 6'5" and taller, and I was blessed then to be able to jump high. So I'm 13, 14 years old dunking. You know what I mean? And I'm freaking five at that time. I think I was 5'6". So, that's a small guy getting up there. So instantly my coaches knew something was I would want to say special about the way I was, how aggressive and how I played. So whenever I got in the game, I was always a starter in the game, but I was always either a point guard or a small forward. But when we needed to give the big guys a break, they would say, "Hey," well, I made my coaches call me Blockz then too. So they'd be like, "Blockz, fill into the center, power forward position." Okay, cool. And then you got the big guys looking at me laughing, but now I'm out rebounding them. I'm out hustling them because I'm quicker than them. They're playing defense on me. I'm getting around them faster. If you're gonna block me, that means you got to be on top of me. If you can't, sorry, I'm gonna make you look stupid. So, basketball was always my go-to. I used to go to playgrounds all over Queens throughout the summers, and had a game with my teammates at the time, and it was how many playgrounds can we take over in a summer? And we did fairly good. We went one whole summer undefeated, which was great. So we went to about maybe 30 playgrounds throughout the summer, and played basketball there all day, and said, whoever takes us off the court, we'll leave. You know what I mean? And it was just like that going from young.
funniest, we're talking about basketball for a second. I played very briefly when I was in elementary school, and I was not the most athletic player out there. Somehow I tried to play basketball with my hands in my pockets. Don't ask me how I pulled, but I also, on the flip side, I'm also one of the only people who got 2 half-court shots in. So I hold that also to me. But yeah, when it comes to me in sports, this is why I decided to go on the other side of it and be a podcast host, because I'm the biggest klutz imaginable.
Hey, man, in professional wrestling, you can make that work. That's a great gimmick. Being a klutz, that's a great gimmick. You can make that work.
Oh, I've thought about a couple of times entering, actually going through and becoming a wrestler, but I'm like I'd be the one who would try to get into the ring, and because I'm short, I'm only 5'5", I'd be the one who would try to get through the middle rope and would trip. I become the comedy act of any promotion.
That's what. It's funny that you say that. We were in North Carolina, as you know, and we had the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and I had just gotten chokeslammed by Big Sean Studd, so I was feeling a little woozy still. And then next thing you know, I'm getting treated by the doc, and all of a sudden it's the Battle Royal's on. Blockz, you're a part of the Battle Royal, and I'm like, wait a minute, did you not just see what Big Sean Studd did to me? So needless to say, I'm walking out there and I'm all delirious. So as I go through the ropes, I kind of, did one of those slip fall ones, I'm still feeling the effects with Big Sean Studd, so I tripped, but it's all right.
Wait, so is it safe to say Big Sean Studd is on the list of the deadly sins?
Oh, not only is Big Sean Studd on the list of the deadly sins, Big Sean Studd is on the list of Blockz. And I let Billy Fetsky know, Big Sean Studd, we gonna have our day. I may be calling out a Giant, but I'm used to being there with the Giants. So Big Sean Studd and Blockz you may see in the future, because he still owes me one for what he did to us in North Carolina.
Speaking about Billy Fetsky, obviously, you've been with Titan now for some time. How did you get connected with Titan?
That's going to be one of the greatest stories you heard. You thought that Undertaker one was good. All right. So Mount Olympus Rumble, November of 22 last year. Mount Olympus Rumble's coming around. The names are being dropped. Who's going to be in the Rumble? Following it along, because there's a couple guys who I've been in the locker room with that I've seen being on it, and I've asked a couple of them. I'm like, hey man, how did you guys get on it? And they said, we reached out to Billy Fetsky, we reached out to Monster Mac, or we reached out to somebody in management, SP, to get in there. So it was like, all right, so now I know the basis of who I got to reach out to. Let's see how a rookie, at the time that I was, can get into a promotion like this where there's nothing but big name guys, throughout this whole Rumble that's being put out there. I think when Matt Tremont, not Matt Tremont, I'll get to that in a second. I seen Wrecking Ball Legursky get put on it. I seen PJ Savage get enter it. I've seen who else? Anthony Gangone was putting his title on the line in the Mount Olympus Rumble. And what bigger statement for a rookie to come in to try and, who knows, possibly if he can get in the Rumble, win the Titan Championship and Funhouse Championship Wrestling, his first night, his first debut, that would have been a story for itself. But I reached out. I seen Matt Tremont had gotten injured, and I reached out to Billy Fetsky and said, hey, listen. No, I reached out to him first about being in the Rumble, and he told me he'll get back to me. He thinks that it was, filled up already. And if anything or anybody, got injured or canceled out, he'll reach back out to me. So at that point, my hopes for being in Titan and being in the Mount Olympus Rumble went from very high to very low. There's nothing that's going to happen to get me in this company. All of a sudden, Matt Tremont gets an injury. I see it posted. It says posted 1 minute ago, Matt Tremont injured, not going to be in the Mount Olympus Rumble. I look at my wife and say, there's no way anybody's reached out to this man in 1 minute to ask about being a replacement. I'm going to be that guy. Reached out to him literally 2 minutes after that post happened. hey, my guy, which is not a way to reach out to a promoter, but hey, my guy, I see Matt Tremont is injured. What do you think about Blockz replacing him? Message I got back from Billy was Matt Tremont is a big name to replace. So, to replace somebody like Matt Tremont, it's got to be somebody big. And I said, listen, Billy, I understand that, but if you allow me to replace Matt Tremont, you're never going to regret this going forward. And he said, let me think on it and let me get back to you. No worries. All of a sudden, I want to say an hour passes by. Matt Tremont now is back in the Mount Olympus Rumble. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, shit. Excuse my language, but I'm like, shit.
You're fine. You're fine.
I'm like, damn, my shot is done now. Matt Tremont's not injured. He's back. So I hit up Billy again. I said, thank you for considering me. I see Matt Tremont is back. I appreciate just you considering me to even be on your show. And I want to say the next message I got from him, which is about 15, maybe 20 minutes later, was, hey, kid, check out Facebook. And I check on Facebook, and sure as shit, Blockz is an entrant in the Mount Olympus Royal Rumble. And I instantly, it sounds funny, but I instantly, cried because I busted my ass doing everything that I could to get up to that point, and to have that moment of that validation to where it's like, all right, you can hang with these guys. It was the first shot I've really ever been given outside of my training school. And I messaged him and I thanked him. I said, you're not going to regret this. I can assure you that this is probably one of the best decisions you've ever made as a promoter. And he said, I don't know what it is about you, but I met you for a reason. And I said, you damn right you met me for a reason. We're about to take this up to the next level. And from there was history. Like I made my debut at the Mount Olympus Rumble, and I've been on every single card ever since.
It's quite impressive. So it's almost safe to say that Tremont's injury was a blessing in disguise, then, so to speak.
Oh, 100%. Which thank God that he actually, was okay and the injury wasn't serious and he was able to compete. And it came full circle because that day he actually did a seminar too, which I was able to attend. So I learned so much from him. He asked me what was the first match or what got me into wrestling. I told him about the Undertaker match, and it threw him for a loop because he was like, wow, like I've never heard that either. And it was like, yeah, like everybody's in for gets in it for the love of something. And that was mine. That was my first shot of anything WWE or anything professional wrestling, and it just hooked me.
I can completely agree with that. But now, obviously, before you went on your run right now with being with the Deadly Sins, obviously you were doing a lot of stuff with Mike Harvey.
Correct.
You were. This is, I think, when you were feuding with the Deadly Sins at that point.
Yes.
If I remember correctly. What was it like? Now, had you known, Ben Castle and Frankie Picard beforehand, or was that the first time you really worked with them? Was when you started feuding with them?
So I met Frankie Picard my first night at Titan.
Okay.
We spoke briefly. I think then I tell him now, we joke about it now, and I tell him then, I believe you were recruiting me then. You were getting to know me then because I felt, he was one of the first people to come up to me at Titan and try to get to know me. And I know Frankie Picard's history, against Nick Gage and some of the greats that's been on independent wrestling. And I remember going up to Billy that same night and saying, this Frankie Picard, I like him, but I'm not too sure of him. And Billy's like, he's a good guy, but just watch out. And I try to figure out what he meant by that, and I didn't understand it. So time goes forward. I'm having, my feud with Ben Castle, who was from the get trying to get me to open my eyes to realize what was going on with Titan management and how, one-sided they are with certain guys, and how guys like Ben Castle, Frankie Picard weren't getting opportunities. And in the beginning, I'm like, listen, I'm a new guy. I'm staying out the way. I'm here to show I'm gonna make my own opportunities. So I I guess they didn't like that very much, so it became a feud with me and Ben Castle. Um, I had to bring in backup and Mike Harvey. I brought him into Titan. As I brought him into Titan, I started to slowly but surely notice that his focus was shifting. So it was you're worried too much about the moment and you're not worried about what we have at hand. We have to take out these guys because they're trying to take me out and I need backup. So you're worried about yourself and you're starting to resemble all the things that these guys are talking about what's wrong with Titan. And I noticed that the more I showed up and showed out, as I like to say, in the ring, the more I was getting taken as a joke backstage. And I was trying to figure out why. Ben Castle and Frankie Picard, right there again, showing me this is why they're treating you this way. You're shaking the system. They don't like the system being shook. They have their mindset on what it is, and they don't realize the gems they have in front of us. And with you by our side, I'm telling me, with me by their side, we can be an unstoppable force. And it took a little bit of time for me to get around to it. But the last straw was when we had our tag team match when I made my decision on joining the Deadly Sins, where Titan once again played Ben Castle's daughter over the loudspeaker, messing with his family, and I'm heavy on family, and I don't like family getting messed with. So it's to the point where if somebody in Titan management is doing this to one of the guys who's just trying to make opportunity for himself, what else are you going to be able to do to guys that are trying to make opportunities to themselves? So, the moniker at Titan, as you know, is Titan Strong, Titan Proud. So joining the Deadly Sins with myself and Frankie Picard, our moniker is we're going to weed out the guys who aren't Titan Strong and Titan Proud. Because if you're gonna be up in this type of level of talent in here, you got to bring it. If you don't bring it, you don't belong here.
I
So anybody who's in our level, I apologize. Anybody who tries to step to the plate, if you can't hang, you got to go, and we're gonna take you out. Unfortunately.
and I remember because I had gone to I think it was the Courage and Power show down
Yes.
at the EMS, yeah. And I remember because I also remember that was a few days before my 30th birthday. I still remember that part. And what I remember with that was Ben was, I think, yeah, if I remember correctly, Frankie Picard had the match that night.
Against me, correct.
Yeah, against you. And I remember at one point in the match, also they play Ben Castle's daughter's voice. And I was just sitting like, I was like, did somebody hit the wrong button? I was just very confusing to me.
Yeah.
And
So
very much like, to me, it just didn't fit the storyline. And I think that at that moment was when I realized, okay, Deadly Sins aren't here to mess with.
yeah, like the somebody, and we're still trying to figure out who in management or who is in general behind playing these voice messages from Ben Castle's daughter. So now people don't understand is that that was actually the last message Ben Castle received from his daughter. So you know that's something that he holds near and dear to his heart. You know,
Yeah.
when it comes to that situation with his daughter, for somebody to come out and pretty much dig at his most painful issue that he's dealing with in his life, it's tough. So when when me and Frankie had our match, they didn't play it then, but they played it during Ben Castle's match against Abraham Khan.
Yes,
And I
that
believe
one was.
the second time, the first time they played it when I feuded against Ben. Then the second time is when he went up against Abraham, and then the third time is when we had our tag team match, which was myself and Mike Harvey against Ben Castle and Frankie Picard. And that's where I realized, you know, I see Mike Harvey, who knows how much family means to me. I told him when we had our spot in the ring, I brought him into Titan. I brought him to elevate him because I want my family to elevate to the next level. We're here with a mission, and he came in selfish. He came in worried about Mike Harvey, and that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to make sure these boys and girls in the back, which I consider my family, get to the next level. And everybody was selfish except for Frankie Picard and Ben Castle, who continuously messaged me, called me, whether I wanted it to or not, to let me know, no matter how many times we fight, we're here for you. Just know we're here for you. We got your back. It may take some time, but you're going to realize who's the real people that's against you and who's the real people who's on your side. And you know, when they played that the third time at that tag team match, I knew right then and there when I looked at Mike Harvey and I seen him laughing in approval of it. You know, it was time. It was time that get Titan management the way they should be.
That to me, and when you bring up, how Frankie and Ben have basically had your back, and that's one thing that I'm very big in is having people who are going to have your back no matter what the situation is. But now, working with, obviously, like I said, you made the heel turn and that was the show in May, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
Now, being that you've done the heel stuff now for a couple months, do you prefer being a heel or being a babyface, or it doesn't matter?
That's a very good question. I honestly feel like being a heel is a little bit more easier because now, I mean, I don't have to pretend like I care what anybody thinks about me. Before, I had to feel like I had to pretend, you know, I have to pretend that I actually like use fans that are cheering for me for the wrong reasons. You're cheering for me because I'm going up against the bad guy, but you're not cheering for me because of what I'm trying, the statement that I'm trying to put. You know, I'm trying to take this to the next level when you're cheering for me because of the name Blockz, which I get it, which is great, but it's more to it with me. And being ever since I've as you say, being a heel, being that bad guy, I get to show when I go out there, no matter what you guys say, I'm gonna go in the ring, I'm gonna do what I do in the ring, like I've been doing, whether I'm babyface or heel. But this time, I'm at the point now where it's you boo me, you cheer me, you cheer me. Either way, you're gonna respect what I do in that ring. So it's more of the line of that bloodline feel that I love, where it's I don't care what they think, but they're gonna cheer me anyway, and I don't care that they do, or they're gonna boo me, but you're gonna have that reaction from me. I think that's the best part of being the heel, getting a reaction, getting somebody who thinks that they're in my head and flip it around and I'm in their head now.
Hey, like I said, I've seen you now doing the heel stuff, and honestly, and I've heard this from a lot of other wrestlers that being a heel, you get to be more yourself than being a babyface.
Correct.
And I've heard that from a lot of wrestlers. But I want to get now specifically to the show in Tom's River, because I mentioned before how I was in the ring with you guys.
Yes.
And I will say this much right now: I give you guys a lot of credit for having to get into the taller ring. I did it the first time that show, and I was like, "What the hell am I about to get myself into?" So being that I was one who introduced, and I'll explain to people what happened in case they aren't aware. PJ Savage at that show was supposed to take on Joe Ocasio. Joe Ocasio ended up was involved in a hit and run accident, so he had to pull out of all independent shows.
Yes.
For that weekend. So I had seen Titan had put out a poll saying, okay, who do you want to face PJ Savage? And they listed all the guys, and I know Ben Castleton was one of the guys on the list. And I was there. I was going to be there anyways, doing the podcast. We were supposed to do the kickoff show that night. Yep. And I messaged Billy and I said, hey, because I think our podcast was supposed to start at 5:45. The poll was going to end at 5.
Yes.
And I said, how cool. I said, if you're okay with it, because I didn't, believe me, one thing I've always learned is I don't want to overstep anybody. And I said to him, if you're cool with it, I said, I'd love to make the announcement on the podcast as far as who's PJ's going to face. And he goes, he turned around, he goes, I'll do you one better. He goes, you'll make the announcement on the podcast, but you'll also make the announcement live to the crowd. And again, in my head, like I was telling you before we started, I'm like, okay, they'll have me say something beforehand at the entrance ramp, all that. I get down to the venue, and I say it's a venue, but it's a baseball field.
Yeah.
So it's really no venue.
Baseball field, yeah.
And I come walking in. The first person I see is David Adams, And he looks at me, he goes, oh, welcome to the show. I'm like, yeah, thank you, all that stuff. And he turned around and he goes, oh, I just want to, oh, he turned around, he goes, oh yeah, welcome to the show. And I said, yeah, he said, I'm doing the pre-show tonight. And he goes, yeah, but you're also on the card. I'm like, excuse me? And it wasn't until then that he said to me that Billy had put me in for the segment right before the main event of the first half. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, what am I going to be doing? He goes, oh, you're going to be cutting up, you're going to be saying some stuff on the mic and you're going to be announcing who PJ is going to face. From what I heard, I don't think Ben Castle even knew till like 5 minutes beforehand.
Yeah, man. It was a close race for that night. It was between him, Frankie Picard, and Adam Ace. I want to say the three names, and it was literally by, I think Ben Castle won maybe by 5 votes, if that, 4 votes. It was like really close at the end there. They all 3 guys got into the 90s. I think Ben was the one that reached 100, if I'm not mistaken, and or just maybe either he reached 100 or he just was under. But it was a real close where it was just a couple votes. So the whole day we were watching, and I looked at both Ben Castle and Frankie Picard, and I looked at them and I said, "Listen, guys, no matter what way it looks at it, the Deadly Sins is going to be in that match. We don't know who." And I told him, I said, if Adam Ace wins this, don't worry, I'm gonna take him out. We're gonna be in that match. No matter what happens, one of you guys is gonna be in that match. So what winded up happening was Ben and Frankie, it was really close between them two, but Frankie Picard actually, if I'm not mistaken, gave his votes to Ben Castle. And
I honestly, no, go ahead.
And I winded, if I'm not mistaken, Ben Castle winded up then being from like 90 something votes or 100 votes to either what was it, like 187 votes, 100 and almost something 200 like votes card or something like that. So just the fact that so many people wanted to see a Deadly Sin member against PJ Savage speaks volumes itself.
Oh, incredible! And the fact that I got to sit there and normally it's David Adams who does it, but it's the one thing I get to turn around and go. It's the one thing I get to turn around and go. No, I was the one who introduced Ben Castle for that one. And the funny thing is, like I said, my co-host Ryan Peterson, another ring announcer, and I think watching him a lot of times and watching guys like David Adams and all them, that's why going into the ring was so natural, because I've seen them do it hundreds of times. And then it wasn't like David had anything to say beforehand. He said what he said. I go into the ring. He goes, use the microphone. I'm like, okay, we're going with this then.
Yeah, man. Live mics is always the best.
Well, the best part I remember was at the end when I'm about to announce the winner, and I still can't wait to see when this thing goes live. Goes on to MoFi TV. I just stare right down to the ramp, and I'm like, the winner and the guy who's going to face PJ is Ben Castle. And all of a sudden I hear you, Deadly Sins music. I'm like, okay, let me get to the side now before one of them tries to take me out.
That was a smart decision. Smart decision, man.
I'm going to be on the good side.
Yeah, there you go. We're looking for more, as I like to call our fans, Deadly Sinners. We need more Deadly Sinners out there. We have quite a fan base that's behind us. They know the statement that we're trying to make, so that's why they're behind us. But we're here to show everybody in Titan. Everybody thinks we're a poison. Everybody thinks we're guys that's trying to destroy Titan, and we're not trying to destroy Titan. Let me correct myself. We are destroying this new Titan regime, because for Titan to be Titan strong and Titan proud, there's a lot of guys who's not Titan strong and Titan proud, and we're gonna weed them all out, and we're gonna make this company to where it was before the pandemic, right after the pandemic. The last year, myself, Ben, and Frankie have noticed that there's some trouble. There's some trouble, and we're gonna be the ones to steer the ship, and whether anybody in Titan likes it or not, whether Billy likes it, Charlie likes it, Monster Mac, PJ Savage, Anthony Gangone himself, whether they like it or not, Deadly Sins are here, and we're here to stay, and we're here to make an impact in Titan Championship Wrestling and all over independent wrestling in general.
Oh, I can definitely believe me. I definitely see that. I think it's safe to say the reason why a lot of people are not for the deadly sins is because they don't like the truth.
Oh yeah, 100%. Truth hurts sometimes, and sometimes you got to let the truth smack you in the face so you can realize the faults that you're living. So it's gonna be a rude awakening for a lot of people on Titan management, but when all said and done and deadly sins say we told you so, we're making this better again. We're doing it for the betterment not only of ourselves but for professional wrestling itself. um I'm here. I joined Titan because I believe in what they represent, and even as a member of the Deadly Sins, I am gonna fight for that to the very end to make sure that the reason why I joined this company is for the reasons why it stays this way. And right now, it's not that way. So it's a little fix that we got to do. We already spoke, me and the guys. There's gonna be some big surprises coming out. In the upcoming months that is gonna take people by surprise. They think that they know the Deadly Sins. They think that they figured us out. But like one famous wrestler once said, the moment you think you got it figured out, we change the script. So, you know, it's time. It's time that the world gets awoken by the Deadly Sins.
I think it's safe to say that I'm slowly going towards that, obviously for a different reason, because I've seen in my life, being the good guy hasn't gotten me anywhere.
Exactly. Good
And
guys, second place, man.
that's believe me, I want that. So there's been bits and pieces of me where it's like I'll do something, I'll be like, oh crap, am I turning bad now?
Nah, man,
But
it's you being yourself, and it's time. It's time you get recognized for who you are. Same way we feel like it's time for us to be recognized how we are, and we doing so by any means necessary. So
like,
you could, who knows, you could be our official spokesman of the Deadly Sins.
if the opportunity comes, I would take it on a dime.
There you go.
If all of a sudden, because like I said, eventually we're gonna have Ben on here and have Frankie on here as well. If all of a sudden Ben turns around to me or even Frankie goes, "Hey, you want to be the official spokesperson?" I'd be like, "Okay, sign me up."
Yeah, man, you never know. We about making money and making ratings, and we were starting to do both. So it's been a fun ride to say the least.
Especially, I think it would also shock a lot of people if all of a sudden change the way, change my ways, so to speak. Because I've always been the good guy,
Yeah, man.
but got a couple more questions for you. Obviously, you guys have the tag team match coming up this Saturday at Blaze of Glory.
Correct.
Well, yeah, with this Saturday. What's your thoughts going into this match?
The thoughts is like every other match: show up, wreak havoc, get the victory, go to the back, make sure Billy hands me that fat envelope in my hand, and go out to celebrate with my guys like we do after every show. Um, you know, we we have a point when we show up to these shows. We show up and we're letting everybody know that we mean business. We're tired of being the bottom feeders. We're here to shake the system. We're here to show why the Deadly Sins are gonna be the top faction in all of professional wrestling eventually. And it starts this weekend when we take out Just Saying and Adam Ace, and if Casey Lankham, who's a special guest referee, um, oversteps his boundaries and doesn't follow the official protocol of being an official, then he's gonna feel the wrath of the Deadly Sins too. So this is not only a warning to Just Saying and Adam Ace. It's a warning to Casey Lankham of the Throne. You've been sticking your nose in our business, and come Saturday you decide to stick your nose in our business. We're gonna finish it.
Again, I don't understand why. To me, you guys aren't doing anything bad. You guys are trying to make Titan. You guys are basically trying to make Titan better,
But
and I
management
completely.
feels different. Management feels that we're a venom, we're a poison that we're trying to tear the locker room apart, and we don't care about what anybody's doing in that locker room. There's the three of us. We're here to create opportunities for ourselves and make sure tight management goes back to giving opportunities. So like when I first came in, I was given that opportunity, and then all of a sudden started opportunity started to get taken away to put other guys who I know as short of a time as I've been in this can't lace up my boots. So let alone try to lace up Frankie's and Ben's. So I don't mean to sound arrogant or too cocky, but at the end of the day, I know my skill level. So when I see other guys getting opportunities over me, which this weekend, Adam Ace, he's gonna see, he's gotten opportunities and title shots first night in here, and I've been here busting my ass 8 months, and this guy just walks in and gets a title shot his first night, and that's a no-no in my book. You gotta earn that. You can't just come in, show up, and demand a shot, and you get one. So Saturday, he's going to understand from the Deadly Sins aspect of how you need to earn your way up here. So that's the plan for Saturday. Just saying, same thing with him. He's starting to become a thorn on our side. He's everywhere. He actually kidnapped Frankie. And try to do what Frankie did to him, but he didn't realize that that's something that Frankie likes. And if he would have went back in time and seen promos that me and Frankie when we were feuding, he should know that Frankie loves pain. Frankie not only loves inflicting pain, but he loves getting pain. The guy is an absolute crazy animal. I've never met somebody who likes to take or endure as much pain as Frankie Picard. So to try to kidnap him, to beat him, to get even with him, that was actually something that he loved. I just spoke to him earlier to make sure he was okay, and he was like, "Blockz, I'm good. You think what that dude did to me hurt me?" He's like, "I eat those for breakfast. I'll be there Saturday. Don't worry. I'll be there. We're gonna take them out, and we're gonna show why the Deadly Sins have been for the past, I want to say, 6 months, running the table up in Titan. I'm gonna continue
I
to."
I believe me, I completely see where you're coming from. I just think personally, I think it's a not to play a pun here for a second, but I think it's a deadly sin that you got that either you nor Ben nor Frankie. I don't think you guys have really had any title opportunities.
I just had one against Ken Powers for the Mob 5 TV American Championship.
Oh, yeah.
Titan felt, which kind of pissed me off too. They felt that, granted, I went to North Carolina and stole the show by jumping off the ring truck and hitting my opponents with a crossbody. So, the momentum that the Deadly Sins were on, they knew they had to give somebody a shot for a title because, I mean, what we went out there and did in North Carolina was not anybody on the Titan roster, but, well, excuse me, because we are on the Titan roster, but not anybody of Titan management's boys put them on the roster put them on the map down in there in North Carolina. The Deadly Sins made Titan on the map down in North Carolina. When we still speak about it, the first thing they're speaking about is me jumping off the trailer, and we were the match that had everybody on the edge of the seats. We had holy shit chants. We had this is awesome chants. We had that crowd on the edge of their seats and all type of emotions. We had kids crying. We had kids cursing at us. We had kids flashing us, like, excuse my language, like, little boys talking about, said something to Frankie Picard and lifted his shirt up. And we were like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what? You kids are worse than us. Like, what the hell? But yeah, we went out there and we did what we set out to do: put Deadly Sins on the map, and we did it in the biggest place that we could have thought of at the Andre the Giant Memorial Show.
Just personally, from my take, the fact, and I forgot. I remember now that you had the title opportunity against Ken Powers, but
Which
honestly, what happened?
I said, which I was cheated out of, by the way, which this was a plan of Titan management to put me in this match. And I kept it where I left Frankie in the back. I told Frankie, I got this for us. And I had it. I was that close. But Ken Powers found a way to utilize his teammate, veteran instinct, veteran move. So I give him that credit and that respect, but he already knows. And we get in that ring one more time, that title is coming home to the Deadly Sins, and he knows it. And that's why I think he escaped with it by the skin of his teeth at that time.
I think it's just ridiculous so that you guys. I mean, yeah, you got the title up to me, but I'm really surprised, and maybe this will. I'm hoping this will change come 2024. That I think you guys will have, if not some of the gold, I think you guys will have most of the gold. Titan.
Well,
because there's no stopping you guys.
Yeah, that's the plan. Our plan is to show everyone in Titan that we mean business, and what way to mean business than taking all the gold from Titan. So whether that's just the four of us, because we have yet to mention Deanna Diaz, who is by far one of the scariest female competitors in independent scene right now. Definitely one of the most talked about. So all publicity is good publicity. So you keep showing, you keep talking about our sister. All you're doing is just showing more love to the Deadly Sins, because the eyes is now looking at us. So I know she has her eyes set on gold, and there's two champions that she can have her eyes set on. Who knows? She may have both of them in her future set, but we all have our eyes on some prizes, and come 2024, either we're gonna have that opportunity given to us by Titan management, or we're gonna take it ourselves, and there's not gonna be nothing that they're gonna be able to do.
I think at this point, I think that's probably your best course of action, is to take the opportunities, because honestly, I think you guys deserve them. I think the fact, you said it before, you have these guys who are coming into Titan now who haven't even been in the company for a cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
And they're getting opportunities, and you guys, between yourself, Frankie Picard, Ben Castle, you guys have busted your ass for the better part of, I would say, most of 2023. If that's a good way to put it.
Absolutely, and I don't want to sound like I'm sitting here feeling down, or feeling how you say complaining that we're not getting these shots. It's one of those where we busted our asses. We deserve those shots, but now that since you're overlooking us, and you feel we don't deserve them, now we're gonna show you how much we deserve them by creating that opportunity and taking them. And once we have all the gold, like we're gonna do and we want to do, what else can you say to us? What, we're gonna look at you and say this could have been done a lot differently. A lot, you would have gave us the opportunities, we would have been a lot different. But now we have to take the opportunities. Now, not only is our obligation to try to win all the gold, our obligation is try to take over Titan. We want Titan in general.
I think it's safe to say it doesn't come off as you complaining. I think, and obviously, we can't speak for the other two guys and Deanna as well. But I think it's safe to say you guys all have a chip on your shoulder. I think that's the best way to put it. I think that's the best way I can put it. Blockz, last question I have for you is this. I ask this question to everybody. Now, normally when I ask it, it's who's your dream opponent? And you can answer that part as well. But because you're part of Deadly Sins, I want to kind of switch up a little bit.
Okay.
Dream tag team or faction from any generation. Doesn't matter if it's on the independent level or on the big level. Who would it be?
So I got two, and I got a present and I got a past one to make it a little bit good. So presently, I feel the team, or the faction, excuse me, that would probably give us a run for our money, and I feel would be probably go down as one of the bloodiest, toughest, hardest matches that you be able to see out there is the Deadly Sins versus the BBC, Blackpool Combat Club. I feel like what they do and what we do can cause for one hell of a match, one hell of a story, one just rivalry. They have their feelings about stuff that's not going right in AEW and in professional wrestling, and we feel the same at a different level. And I feel like all of us have chips on our shoulders, even though they're at the the mainstream level, and they've accomplished so much. They still have a chip on their shoulder from being there, and I feel like, you know, our chip on our shoulders, we know we're gonna get there. So the Blackpool Combat Club is definitely probably the faction that I would love to do something with. Um as far as back in the day, I would say probably either Degeneration X, because I just love them as a team so much, so it would be an honor to go against them. But that would just be as a fan point, you know, for myself to be, you know, obviously it would never be able to happen because of their age, but DX would be amazing to step in the ring with, to just the history that they have. Just they're all Hall of Famers, you know. They changed the wrestling industry. They changed the wrestling world. So to get to step in the ring with them would just be just my personal dream mark out moment of my life. I'm not a mark for much, but that I would definitely be a mark for that one.
Hey, that would be a really good. I think another faction that I think would be very interesting, and especially this could add Deanna into the mix as well, is I think Deadly Sins versus Judgment Day.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. Um, Judgment Day is phenomenal. I love what they're doing. And I definitely believe Judgment Day definitely would be a because of the female aspect with Rhea and Deanna, that would be amazing. Um, I would love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Judgment Days are my guys. So like I don't I can't see myself going against them, but that would definitely be a phenomenal match. Me and Dirty Dom, I think, would put on a hell of a show. Because he got mommy and I got my sis. So, you know, a Dirty Dom and Rhea Ripley versus a Blockz and Deanna Diaz, I think, you know, in the future would be something that could be amazing. But yeah, man, Damian Priest, you know, came out of my school. Damian Priest wrestled out of Gino Caruso's ECPW. I mean, I'm sure that's not the only place he trained at, but you know, where back then as Punisher Martinez, that not a lot of people know. You know, he got his a big start at Gino's and got his name out there too. So seeing stuff like that definitely gives me hope to know that, you know, doing this the right way and doing good business, no matter what goes on the screen, doing good business behind the screen, you know, it's going to get me to that level of where I need to get to.
I can definitely see that. Again, Blockz, I appreciate you coming on tonight. It means a lot.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks.
And
Well, thanks for having me, and hopefully in the future having my brothers and sisters on as well.
well, actually, I have an idea for you, but I'll bring that up to you after we're done here. Before I let you go, though, where can the fans connect with you on social media, and what do you have coming up they like to promote?
You can find me on YouTube, Twitter. I'm not Twitter, sorry. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Twitter's coming soon. I just haven't had the time to set that up yet. I think I have one, but it's not fully set up yet. As Blockz is back. I kept it the same for every social media. So that way it's easy to find me and you're not so many different things. So it's Blockz with the Z, is with the Z back. I'll pop up. You see me with my gloves, the famous Joker gloves on, and you know, you can follow me on there. I have my link tree that has my merch sites on there. Just started signed up with Pro Wrestling Tees, so that link will be out there soon. Tomorrow you could catch me in Richfield Park for ECPW. We're doing our live TV taping that we do once a month. So if you guys want to come out tomorrow, Richfield Park, 106 Bergen Avenue, that's where you can catch me at tomorrow night. On Saturday, you can catch me up at Aberdeen Township for TCW, Blaze of Glory. You're gonna see me, myself, Frankie Picard, take on Just Saying and Adam Ace. We're gonna go in there, collect that bag, put those guys out there in misery. Who knows? We may have a few surprises in store for you. So come on out, show love. You know, don't spend that WWE money when the Deadly Sins is in WWE. Come out, spend the money to come watch us, be in the front row, get some autographs. You know, come on, come out. Y'all know y'all want to be there. Taking and the Deadly Sins is taking over.
I completely see that. Again, guys, you can so Blockz. Is it safe to say then? And this is a really bad dad joke, but it just dawned on me when you were saying about how the Twitter stuff is coming together. So is it safe to say you're building the blocks for it?
Yes, I love it. You get the pass on that because I like you. Yes, I'm building blocks. That's amazing. I love that. That's a great way to end this.
So again, guys, you can catch Blockz tomorrow night at the Mecca, 106 Bergen Avenue for ECPW. Then the next night, you can catch him and Frankie as they try to rid Titan of all the deadly sins. Again, another bad pun.
All right, go. It's true. I'm trying to wipe all those guys from their deadly sins.
Blaze of Glory. Again, guys, catch Blockz. He is one hell of a wrestler. And this has been Around the Ropes podcast, YouTube exclusive. We'll catch you guys next time.